Hey guys, welcome back to another Crypto Down Under technical analysis update for Bitcoin. In the last video, we looked at this rising wedge that was forming. So it's kind of like, I don't know, invalidating. We've had this high, right? This was a very key point to try and get back above, and we've done that now. And it's this rising wedge evidently has been invalidated now, so we can sort of scratch that idea of it producing a pullback. Now, if you can see on the retracement from all-time high down to the pullback level, so this is the one we're talking about, this all-time high down to here. We've come up and we've hit the golden pocket, which is between 0.618 and 65, and it's finding a bit of resistance so far. Doesn't mean it has to reverse from here, but it's definitely stopped it in its tracks, at least for now. There's some wicks on the top side here that are showing that sell pressure. But let's go back a few. On the macro, like on the daily chart, we're still very much, we've got so much work to do before we can say that we're out of this correction, or this downtrend rather. And it's not the most severe downtrend. It's quite gentle. Like, it's not very steep, right? We haven't sold off like tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars or anything like that. We're still very much up in the ballpark of that old sort of channel or sideways range that we were in. Delete that. All right, so yeah, it's same again. This would be the price. This is the high to beat on the daily chart, on the high time frame, to change the character from down to up. Basically, it needs to come up here like that. Let's go back to like the hourly chart. So things are trending up. There's no question about that. There's no doubt about it. We've had the Jackson Hole meeting, or the Jackson Hole Symposium, which is a big economic meeting in the US, and I haven't watched it yet or heard any sort of conclusion on it, but it seems to have been positive. It seems like there's some good news that came out of it, so we'll go with that, and hopefully this carries on. Like, hopefully it's not just some random push out of nowhere and then we go back into despair and correcting. But it's producing a nice condition for the altcoins, which I'll touch on in my Doge update, which I'll record after this video. But the altcoin market needs influence from somewhere, and that's generally Bitcoin. So yeah, that's about all I've got to say on this video. It's only gonna be a short one. I think I covered most of what's happening in this area on the previous video. So we were looking at this bull pennant in the last video, which did break out bullish, textbook. My initial thought that it would only come up to the top of the wedge, which it did initially. That's where it came to, and it got rejected, but found support, and something all of a sudden, all this buying came in out of nowhere and pushed us up through the wedge, and it's like a repeat of this back here, this wedge, whichever wedge you want to call this. It's definitely a wedge, I would say. You got highs going up at an angle, then the lows coming up at a steeper angle. That's actually a more aggressive wedge than this one. This one's a bit more shallow, but yeah, we covered that in the previous video, so I won't go over it again. Now for targets, if this goes 1 to 1, there is a tool that you can use to gauge that. Let me just hide this fib level. Let's use the trend-based fib extension. So if we just eyeball it, we go from here up to the high point, back to the pullback. A 1 to 1 Fibonacci extension takes us basically to $70,000. That would be a target, which measures, it just duplicates this move and stamps it at a starting point of where the pullback came to, and then that gives you the target of 1 to 1. It's a 1 to 1 fib extension. So now, just because there's a fib extension on this tool doesn't mean it has to hit that. It's just something to aim for. It could pull up short. It could pull up at the 786. It could pull up at, it could even go beyond the 1 to 1. You never know. So, but it's just a gauge, a rough gauge of what you can use to sort of judge where things might land. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up at 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes. Thanks again for tuning in to another update, technical analysis update for Bitcoin. Hit the like buttons and the subscribe button, and leave a comment if you want, and I'll see you in the next one.